Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
While jobless claims have been historically high, they had actually been trending down until now. Last week, another 1.4 million Americans filed new claims for unemployment benefits. That is an increase from the prior week, and it snaps a streak of 15 consecutive weeks of declines. It has been 18 straight weeks that jobless claims have been above 1 million.
We're well over probably 20% with real unemployment. That's where we are. We're approaching historic levels. The coronavirus, in the short term, has done more than just a little number on us. It's done a major number. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. You know that, and I know that. And why this is significant, first of all, guess what? Moratorium on rent expiring in many places. States are taking it in a different direction. Some will extend, some will not. On top of that, still no deal when it comes to the stimulus. And this is going to take a while. This is going to be an overnight thing. They could pass a bill, the Senate. Pelosi and them could kill it. They could send back something else. Mitch McConnell could kill it. Everybody wants to have their own. And they're disagreeing on so many different things. But that $600 extra bucks a week from the Fed is going to go away. And with who knows how many people unemployed or underemployed at this moment in time, the financial tsunami that is going to come is going to be massive. We've said and continue to say, August is when you're going to really start to feel this financial tsunami. Mortgage companies, banks, guess what? They're going to start foreclosing unless something else happens. People are going to be evicted. And if they don't have that extra $600, people that were able to get through this long, who still can't find work, or the work that they do, they can't do at this moment in time, they're going to be hurting. Remember, this is just this week because we're starting to see a close down. A serious close down in a lot of places around the country. Big places. Florida, Texas, California. Big places, big economies. I think in the coming weeks, the potential could be massive. You don't want to say it's going to be, but at this moment in time, the reality is this is kind of where we're at. And the next step between what they're going to be able to do, what the House is going to do, what the Senate's going to do, what they're able to come up with, what will Trump sign? He's already given up on the payroll tax. Democrats want kind of everything status quo. The Republicans are pushing back, saying, no, we don't want to incentivize people to stay home. I understand that. I don't want to do that either. In saying that, if you're not allowed to be open, what do you do? And this is where I think the states need to take a more active role, because if you're the feds helping out, I think we were all in agreement they needed to do a little bit of something, especially when you're asking businesses to close. But a lot of that was on the states. You're going to have to start to shift some of this responsibility money-wise onto the states, because they're the ones who are going to be in control of what's open and what's not open. People are desperate. They're getting angry. They don't see an end in sight. We've had a spike in cases, and that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Donald Trump.
Cases started to rise among young Americans shortly after demonstrations, which you know very well about, which triggered a broader relaxation of mitigation efforts nationwide, and a substantial increase in travel also was a cause. Increased gathering on holidays such as Memorial Day, as well as young people closely congregating at bars, probably other places, maybe beaches. Also sharing a 2,000-mile border with Mexico, as we know very well, and cases are surging in Mexico.
They are. And being in a border state, let me tell you, there are some issues. Absolutely, there are some serious issues. But you've had the protesting, It's funny because we still talk about, well, look what happened at Tulsa or some of these other, but the reality is, look at Los Angeles. Los Angeles is pretty locked down. San Francisco and everybody's pretty locked down. The protests went on, and we're starting, I think, to see evidence that this thing is spread absolutely. It's not getting any better anytime soon. The good news is it's the European strain, at least at this point. Spreads easier than the original Chinese virus. So the original virus, more deadly, easier to spread, not as hard to spread. It was hard to spread. It's easier than the flu, but harder than what we have now. Because once it morphed in Europe, it became less deadly, but the spreading capability of it increased. So when you throw out that giant net, it becomes dangerous. And it is dangerous. It is. Here's my thing. Why are governors not acting in a way that's real? We understand. I think most people out here, most of you are responsible. You wear a mask where it's applicable. So, you're going to go to a store, you're going to wear a mask, right? Because there are people out there who don't. And look, I'm at the point where I'm thinking, okay, some of you have lost the plot. Some of you are looking for your viral fame. And some of you are just idiots. It's probably a combination of all three. More and more places I go, I see, I would say 99% of people are masking up. And that's good. Gets us back on track a little faster. Because we don't have a vaccine for the virus. We don't have a therapeutic. We've learned how to treat it better, which is bringing down our mortality rate. And plus, the people that are getting it, the younger generation of the 20-somethings, 30-somethings who are in good health and who have very little chance of dying from this or even getting extremely sick, that's good. Then we have the other question. What's going on with seniors, and why are we not protecting them better? And the kids, because 1 in 10 Americans favor kids going back to school right now, according to a new study. 1 in 10 favor them going to school in a regular way. Some say it's okay to send them back to school with serious measures, but a majority of Americans are apprehensive to send kids to school, and teachers, as we know, are apprehensive to go to school because we don't know all the data. What we do know data-wise, at least to this point, and what we can go on is the chances of a child, the flu's more deadly than this is for a child. So the chances of a child under the age of 15 getting this and dying is minute. Can they spread it? Some studies say yes. Other studies says not really. This is where the debate of science goes on. But we've got to do a better job of figuring out what we're going to do, because too many people across this country are trying to figure out how are they going to take care of their kids at school time. What about the people who don't have access to internet, don't have computer at home? Or if they do, it's one shared amongst the family, and maybe you got 2 or 3 kids and they've all got to do the same thing. It's crazy.
The children who go to school then go back to home, some live with their grandparents. Sure. There's a real risk. Would you understand if some
schools... Well, they do say that they don't transmit very easily, and a lot of people are saying they don't transmit, and we're looking at that. We're studying John very hard. They don't bring it home with them now. They don't catch it easily. They don't bring it home easily, and if they do catch it, they get better fast. We're looking at that fact. That is a factor, and we're looking at that very strongly.
But I've got a lot of friends who have kids, and they're trying to figure out exactly they go about doing this. They're trying to plan their life around what they're supposed to be doing. Heard yesterday in Los Angeles is thinking about, well, we'll hold some classes outside, especially for parents who have to go to work and can't leave the children with anything else. So it's people looking all they can for the alternatives. But we better start getting on the same page when it comes to a plan. Too many governors I see across this country are, and I'm not expecting them to stop the spread. The reality is this thing's out there. It's in the community. Chances of us stopping it in any real meaningful way where we're going to get it down to zero is virtually nil. But how do we go about protecting the elderly, protecting the people that are in assisted living facilities, and getting back to work? Because we're facing financial ruin for a lot of people across this country. We're facing a God knows how long rebuild when it comes to our economy. So we better figure something out soon. I hear a lot of piecemealing plans together from people across this country, but nobody seems to have any kind of real plan. And I could look at the president and say, you need to have a plan. But at the end of the day, every time he says it, I'm like, yeah, that's right. You should have some sort of plan and some sort of guidance. But at the end of the day, it's on your governor. It's on my governor. What are you going to do? Do you have anything meaningful that feels like a plan? We're not asking for perfection. We just like a little presence, a little presence and planning. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Major League Baseball opening day. What are we, 4 months away from where we're supposed to be? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Oh, Car Shield. Ooh. Friend just bought a new used car, if you will. And first thing, Car Shield. I said, you got to get Car Shield. She's like, I know. It's great. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car is in the shop, if the car needs to go to the shop. And also, you get to choose the shop. Maybe you have a mechanic you love down the street. Maybe you want to take it back to the dealership. You can do those things. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. Plans start as low as $99 a month. You call them up. You say, hey, I have this car. This is how many miles I have on my car. I'm worried about this. I'd like to get a plan that covers this. And they'll take care of it. Maybe you got electronics in your car. Maybe you're worried about the transmission, the air conditioning, whatever it is. They've got a plan to fit whatever it is your need is at a price point that is going to make you comfortable. Call 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson to save 10% or go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use that code Benson to save 10%. It is, again, simple and easy. Call them up, 800-CAR-6000, code Benson, save 10%. Explain to them exactly what you're looking for. They'll take care of you. Carshield.com, code Benson. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
I'm so excited about today because, we talked about it a lot this offseason. We didn't know if baseball was going to be played. And the fact that the players and owners finally got together, that we're going to play baseball tonight, is so special for this country because a lot of people use opening day in April as a time to get excited about their year. It's been a cold winter. It's maybe been a little bit depressing, especially if you live in the Northeast like I do. But it's been depressing for a different reason now. I think our entire country and baseball fans all over the world are really excited about tonight.
Mark Teixeira right there talking a little baseball. Opening day, bizarre. Opening 2 games today. So you got 2 games opening day. By the way, I don't think the Blue Jays still have a home yet. So for those of you who don't know, the Toronto Blue Jays, Canada says you guys can't play here. And they're like, which is weird because they're from Toronto. So it's not like the Canadians didn't know that they had a baseball team. No, so they said, you guys can't play here. So they were like, well, we could go back to our spring training, I guess, but not sure anybody really wants to do that. I'm not sure anybody's ready to roll back to spring training in the middle of July and August in Florida. Think about it. Florida has 2 baseball teams. They have Tampa Bay and the Miami Fish things. They're awful. You don't care about the Miami. The Marlins are horrible. But both of them are indoor stadiums. So playing in a small minor league ballpark in a place where cases are exploding, and oh, by the way, you're playing outside when it's 95 with intermittent showers on a daily basis and 100% humidity doesn't sound exciting. They thought they were going to play in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's like, nah. So now Kentucky's saying, we'll take you guys. We'll take you. We'll take you. So you got 2 games tonight. You got the Yankees at the world champion Washington Nationals. Feels weird to say that. Throwing out the first pitch tonight will be the Trump slayer, Dr. Fauci. And then you got San Francisco taking on the Dodgers. Probably the 3 of the 4 best teams in Major League Baseball. Who's the favorites?
Everyone's talking about the Yankees and Dodgers, and look at their rosters and their stars. And the Yankees got Garrett Cole this offseason, and the Dodgers got Betts. So I'm going Yankees and Dodgers. They're just so stacked. And in a sprint with 60 games, I'm not sure what's going to happen. There's a lot of crazy things that could happen in 2020. But I look at those 2 teams on paper, you have to say they're the World Series favorites.
Yeah, you would say that, but it's a short season. But when you have a short season like this and you've got great pitching, that's a big win. That's a big, big win. So we'll find out. It's going to be odd because there is no fans. It's very weird. Watch the soccer games in Europe, and it's a little different. The way that they pipe the crowd noise into the television, and that is cool. But they've done a lot to make sure that you don't really see the empty stadium except in certain angles. So it feels by and large after a while like the game you're watching, it feels kind of real. I watched a baseball game the other night. They're playing in a giant stadium with absolutely no noise. It just felt very odd. So I'll be interested to see how they play this thing out tonight. Are they going to have noise? Are they not going to have noise? Because there's a certain ambience that goes with it. Golf pulls it off because the reality is you're supposed to be quiet at golf. This? I don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Portland's still a mess. Not getting any better. Talk about that. Trump's got operations going on all over the country. I'll tell you why it's not the Gestapo. You lunatics. I swear. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Protests here in Portland now in their 56th straight night, and the crowd is only growing. We've been here a few nights in a row now. This is the biggest crowd that we have ever seen. At about 12:30, it was declared a riot by authorities, and they asked protesters to clear the area. But this was after hours of protesters lighting fireworks inside the barricade surrounding the federal courthouse. We saw a few people actually taken into the federal courthouse by authorities.
Wait, is it a protest or is it a riot? I'm curious about that, because the way I look at it is there are some protests and there is some rioters. They're different. Your right to protest, fabulous. Get out there, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Rioting, I have a problem with. I think most people do. And it's interesting because when I talk about this, a lot of people get mad at me because I don't support the feds. And the reason I don't support the feds, I do support the feds. I just think at some point in time, these cities, you've made the bed. You got to lie in it now. This is what you've done. You've decided this is where you're going to go in this situation. You want uber liberal politicians to allow things to go on in your city, whether it's the homeless, encampments everywhere and drug use and people crapping in the streets, or night after night protest, or the CHOP, or you've allowed this to get to this point. It's a Portland problem. Portland's a beautiful city, as is Seattle, as is San Francisco and Los Angeles. But the decay in certain places in this city is undeniable. And it's ridiculous. So I say to you, you fix your problem. Chicago's got a different issue. And we'll touch on that in a second. But last night, the mayor, Wheeler. So here's the choices coming up this year for the people of Portland. You have the mayor, Wheeler, who is uber liberal, but doesn't want to abolish the police. So he got cheered and jeered and booed, and people shouted at him and screamed at him, wanted him to resign and all that stuff. Or the lady that's running against him, who is Antifa. Oh, sure, Chad. No, she said, I am Antifa. That's the way that works. I am Antifa. So those are your choices in beautiful Portland. And last night, guess what happened to the mayor? He was out there trying to reason with them, trying to listen to what they had to say, trying to appease them, and chaos and craziness. And then
people really aren't moving. There are still thousands of people out here. Also important to note here that the mayor of Portland, who has been adamant that federal troops leave his city, he was here when tear gas was deployed.
Yep, he got gassed. The feds have every right to protect federal property, right? So they have the right to do that. Off that property, that's an issue. If you're taking people off of the street that has nothing to do with federal property, there is an issue there. There is an issue there. But my whole point in this isn't that I don't respect the feds. And it's funny because people take it in a much different way because they get mad because they think that, well, you should have every right to go in there and crack heads. No, at some point in time, you've got to say, we're not going to bail you out. We're not going to fix the problem that you guys created. If this is what you guys want to be about, if you want to be about burning stuff down, being pissed and angry, destroying the Amazon store up there in Seattle, creating the CHOP, allowing homeless, at some point in time, that's got to be on you. And you're going to have to ask yourself, maybe, just maybe, do we need to put better people in place rather than what we have now? Chicago, much different story. Here's the issue I have with Chicago. It's a mess. For a lot of reasons. You've got guns everywhere. You have a huge, huge problem in certain areas of Chicago that have nothing to do with this lunacy that you see going on, and all to do with gang and gangland violence.
Every American, no matter their income, their race, or their zip code, should be able to walk their city streets free from violence and free from fear. For this reason, today, I am announcing that the Department of Justice will immediately surge federal law enforcement to the city of Chicago. The FBI, ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, and Homeland Security will together be sending hundreds of skilled law enforcement officers to Chicago to help drive down violent crime.
Now, crime is climbing and has been since 2015 there. You see what's going on in New York. It's a nightmare. There are certain pockets of Chicago that are awful. Absolutely awful. They are, I mean, we had a shooting. We had a gunfight at a funeral. This is Mayor Lightfoot, who's upset about guns. Well, hold on. You guys got really strict laws in Chicago. What kind of guns you talking about?
We've got to also stop social media platforms for being a marketplace for the sale of illegal guns. We need the federal government's help to crack down on the gun trafficking that is routine, unfortunately, in our city and ends up in the death of our children.
Because people who want to get guns are going to figure out a way to do it. And the people who want to do it legally are going to figure out a way to slow it down or stop it if you can. Chicago is one of the safest cities in the world. But there are pockets of Chicago that are gang infested like you've not seen. We're talking to the tune of 100,000+ people. It is a much different thing in Chicago than several of these other ones, who people are out there who are pissed and angry and they're rioting, and Trump wants to be law and order. I don't think he's not law. Is there anybody out there who doesn't believe Trump isn't for law and order? Is there anybody out there? No. I look at Chicago in a much different way because the Chicago police have asked, hey, help us with this crap. And I think part of it is You have, in a lot of places, a battle between the police force and these very liberal or uber progressive, in some ways, city councils who are fine with letting certain things go. And crime goes up, violence goes up, petty crime goes up, drug usage goes up, things of that nature. And at some point, their hands feel like they're tired. So what do? Nothing. So what's going on in Portland is ridiculous. Much different, though, in Chicago. Gangs, police officers feel like their hands are tied. It's a struggle. New York is just absolutely a mess right now. Yesterday, of course, it became, why is it only Democratic cities? That's a good question, right? Why is it? Simple. You've allowed this in some way, shape, or form to take place. Seattle's allowed this. San Francisco's allowed. Los Angeles allowed. Petty crime doesn't mean anything. So don't do it. Go watch Seattle's dying and see the way that cops react to certain things. Property crime, petty crime, those things grow. The non-prosecution of people, the turning people loose, those things continue to spike, and there's just turning a blind eye at it, and they're being told to. Imagine how frustrating. Hey, do your job, but don't do your job. So you have a divide between the police officers and a lot of these city councils who want you to step back. Do I think Trump is doing the right things? You're going to think it, some of you. Some of you think it's bad. The way I look at it is, Portland, this is on you. Seattle, this is on you. New York, this is on you. Chicago, understand this help is different. You're looking to come in, gangs, guns, stuff like that in this particular area. That's understandable. But for a lot of these, you guys have made this your world. You want this. You want the uber progressive, the green, the fight for 15. You don't care about a lot of the other things that go on there. You talk a good game, but you never back it up. So this is what you want? I say let him have it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. This is fun right here. You guys, we've got a new Karen. It's Panera Karen. She's interesting. And by the way, she talks about a fart.
So you're not going to serve me because I'm not wearing a mask? You're not down on video right now?
No, they're not going to serve me because you're not wearing a mask. That's exactly right.
You're telling me? Yes, I am.
That's exactly right, you dummy. Just put on a mask. Don't be such a moron. You selfish piece of shit. Get out of here. You're so selfish. No, because you're putting all of us at risk.
Grow the up, lady.
You think that mask is going to protect you? You fart off your ass. You can smell it.
Dude, just grow up.
You think that mask is going to protect you?
Just grow up.
You fart off your ass and you can still smell it. That's what she said there. And I'm watching this, right? So she's in Panera Bread because she's like, God, you know, it'd be great. A $16 bowl of soup in a bread bowl and a $12 grilled cheese. You ever gone to Panera? And you're like, I'll have a grilled cheese and some and a bag of chips. And you're like, that'll be $22. You're like, really? Are you going to give me $15 back? That's, to me, like she went in there, she threw a fit, as you do, because that's what you do now. You go in, you throw a fit. Rah. I look at that, and what ends up happening now is everybody's got a phone, because she started filming first. Then other people started filming. So then you have people filming people, people filming people. Everybody's looking for this isn't about my freedoms. This is about, can I go viral? The guys didn't help because they started to get into it, who were just patrons, and then they started dropping F-bombs and saying horrible things about her, which doesn't get anybody anywhere. I would not want to work at any retail place at this moment in time. It just seems like a nightmare. It just does. Because they're just sitting there going, okay, rock, scissors, papers. That person's not wearing a mask. So you got to go over and 1, 2, it sucks. You got to go do it. And everybody's like, and you just wait for somebody to come film. And nobody's funny, too. That's the other thing. I've not seen any good funny people where sarcasm and humor comes out. It just goes right to anger. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Maybe if they've got a better night's sleep, they'd be feeling better. That's why they need to get a Purple. Technology has changed so many things. By and large, though, beds, not so much. That's where Purple came along. They created the grid, the patented grid. It's technology that is incredible. Instantly adapts to your natural shape of your body, your sleep style. Purple is for every body, no matter how you sleep. Designed with over 2,800 open-air channels. So it's got temperature-neutral gel. So what's that mean? You're never going to sleep too hot. You're never going to sleep too cold. Soft where you want it. Firm where you need it. Comfortable, cool, all over. It's amazing. I never sleep hot. I used to always sleep hot. No matter how cool I got it, always slept hot. Don't do that anymore. Slept better every single night. It's just amazing. And my naps, those right there. You put those in a book of greatness. When you look back and you're like, wow, that nap that day. Thank you, Purple. 100-night risk-free trial. Free shipping. Free returns. Never going to go soft, sink, or lose shape. This thing is the real deal. Pennies a day for a better night's sleep. Experience the next evolution of sleep. Go to purple.com/Benson. Use promo code Benson. For a limited time, you get $150 off Purple mattress order of $1,500 or more. Purple.com/Benson. Purple.com/Benson for $150 off. Terms apply. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
In another series of strange tweets Tuesday night that have since been deleted, Kanye West claimed that he's been trying to divorce his wife, Kim Kardashian, that she tried to get him committed on a psychiatric hold, and he's thinking of delaying his bid for president until 2024. In her first response to West's recent behavior, Kardashian posted on Instagram Wednesday and seemed to confirm that the rapper is dealing with a manic episode due to his bipolar disorder, that she's trying to get him help, and he's a brilliant and complicated person who needs compassion and empathy right now.
She said that from her divorce lawyers. Apparently she's been meeting with them. You could tell he's having a manic episode. And it's sad because you're watching somebody break down. Yesterday, what was it? He compared Kim Jenner to Kim Jong-un, or Kris Jenner to Kim Jong-un. It was just, he's having serious issues. And you're watching somebody who struggles with bipolar disorder, and he's been very open about that. So it's not like you're just trying to figure it out. You're just saying these things. I mean, he's been open about it. His family's been open about it. His wife's been open about it. And you're watching the manic side of what's going on. And it's tough because you're watching it play out in front of the world. And that's, I think that's par for today, right? You just have to go on social media to watch people's manic sides play out all over the world. I always find it weird that people take to social media to discuss such private things. It's bizarre to me. It's foreign to me. I mean, it's one thing if you're there to discuss a situation where, like, you're there to give a certain amount of advice, you've been through something, but when you're in the midst of it, or that to me is the thing I've always found to be kind of an odd thing. And that, I think part of that's because we have this huge need for attention that seems to never, ever go away. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Your Johnny Depp, Amber Heard lunacy watch. I thought, so this is how it works. This is Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp, has nothing to do with their divorce. That divorce is done. This has to do with the Sun publishing stuff that apparently he said she leaked. It's an ugly situation. So this is going on in Britain, this battle. So he had he was up first, right? And he took some swings, and by and large, I was like, yeah, because you ever watch any of those shows and they deliver their thing, and you're like, oh, that's all believable, and you're like, I don't think he did it or she did it, and then they come up and then they do their stuff, and you're like, oh my God, I don't think he did it or she did it or whatever it was. I think they did it too now. Oh my God, boy. She got up there and her side, and I'm like, it's just making it worse for her. It's like the more that she talks, do I think he is, I don't think he's manic. Like, I think he has an alcohol problem. I think he's got a lot of issues with substance abuse in the past. And I think he'll go on benders every once in a while that last, unlike some people who make, they went on a bender for a weekend. It might be months. But she seems to have like that Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Going to go to your house and I'm going to burn it down. I wasn't trying to burn it down. I was trying to light all of his clothes on fire. Oh, okay, that makes it better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. The good news is they really loved each other. It's just tough when you're that passionate about insanity. Unemployment. 1.4 million people filed last week. A tick up in the number of new filings as more and more closings are coming. I do believe that's going to stay steady or may even go up. So coronavirus doing a number again. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
While jobless claims have been historically high, they had actually been trending down until now. Last week, another 1.4 million Americans filed new claims for unemployment benefits. That is an increase from the prior week, and it snaps a streak of 15 consecutive weeks of declines. It has been 18 straight weeks that jobless claims have been above a million.
Uh-oh. Now what? Well, you got more and more cities doing what? Cutting back what can be open, cutting back how many people can be in certain places. People are starting to get freaked out more and more. They're looking around going, what are we going to do? And we still have no relief bill in sight. Now, are there relief bills out there? That's the funny thing. There are relief bills out there. As we all know, there are. Everybody's got their relief. This is my relief bill. This is the Senate Republicans' relief bill. This over here is the Democrat relief bill. What are the details in these things?
While the current $600 per month expanded unemployment benefit is set to expire and won't be renewed, Mnuchin said in its place,
We're looking at something that looks like a 70% wage replacement, and we're working on the mechanics of that.
Also excluded a payroll tax cut favored by President Trump, criticized by both Democrats and Republicans, with the focus shifting instead to a second round of direct payments to Americans.
Yeah, Mnuchin also wanted that, but you're not going to get that. What's a payroll cut do to people who aren't employed? I think the health side, I think by and large, most people, because while the numbers are rising, they're rising exponentially compared to the death rates. So they're far outstripping. And if you've noticed, at one time it looked like we were at 12% and then it was 10%. We're getting down now and we're in a position where we're not even at 5%. And that's based off these numbers, not the actual numbers that are out there. So I think most people are like, maybe the mortality rate, we're treating it better. The people that are catching it now are younger. They're out there. They're recovering quicker and faster. We don't have a vaccine yet, and we don't have therapeutics, but because of the way that we're learning how to treat this, the stays are shorter in the hospital. The recovery seems to be quicker and better. Doesn't mean it's not dangerous. So if that's not the worry, and I think by and large, most people are at the point where they're not worried. I don't think they buy the hype that you get this, you're going to die. Because originally, it felt like if you watch television, it's like, don't get this. You might as well catch the Ebola virus. And all you have to treat it was Bactine. But I think most people with common sense are like, it's not probably going to kill you. Trump continues to go back to the average age is about 78. Death wise, And I'm like, well, I mean, I hear different numbers, but it's definitely in the 70s. 78, the average lifespan in America is 78. So we can see who it adversely affects. People with serious underlying conditions, especially, just people who are obese, diabetes, lung problems, the elderly. So people are kind of like, yeah, we're done that. Okay, we want it to go down, but we need to reopen. But what am I going to do until my state gives us the okay to reopen? What are we going to do? That's the fear now. The fear now, because 3 months ago, once they said we're going to throw in these measures with the $600 a week in federal to go along with your unemployment, so this should offset the loss that you had, and for a decent amount of people, it was a gain. And you thought, well, after this, right, we can go back to work and we should be fine. But here we are again, and you're seeing spikes, and more states are pulling back. Now what? That's a good question. They better figure something out. What is it going to be? That I don't think they know what it's going to be, because, like usual, I always feel like the Democrats and Republicans are two people having a conversation from a different country, and there's no interpreter. And that's sad, because we're just trying to figure out, okay, how do we come together and do the best we can? And I don't know if we can. Steve Mnuchin.
The president's priority for the moment is to get money into Americans quickly. And one of the problems with the payroll tax cut is it takes time. So we are much more focused right now on the direct payments.
And I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see some direct payments. Is it going to be the same? I don't know. Is it going to be just one lump sum? I don't know. Is there going to be unemployment with it? My suggestion, which I ran by a couple Congress people who both, one Democrat, one Republican, is like, I mean, you know, in a normal time, in a normal world, that sounds pretty reasonable, because we were chatting. And I said, look, you can cut unemployment maybe in half, throw out another stimulus check, and then and let it be known that this is it. So that way everybody gets a little bit of something without getting 100% of nothing, which is usually what we like to do in this country. We like to give you 100% of nothing and battle it out in the social media world. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Portland still on fire.
They initially responded with several warnings, then flashbangs, then tear gas. They're increasing the potency of that tear gas, and it clears people out for a little bit. People are coughing, but these protesters are prepared. They have gas masks. They have medics running around with baking soda water to pour in people's eyes.
So 56 nights. Trump still keeping the federal officers in. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. People are upset about it. Jay Johnson, former DHS secretary.
Federal law enforcement officer arrest someone, put them in a government vehicle, take them away without probable cause. I do not understand that. If the mayor and the governor and the entire congressional delegation of a state are saying, don't come here, I'd have to stop and ask exactly what I am doing. Would deploying such a force, heavily armed, in camouflaged gear, if you deploy them, is it going to inflame tensions? Is it going to be unduly provocative and make the situation worse, not better?
Now, when would you put people on the ground? That's he's right about pulling them off the street. Now, what we're being told, even by people that have been, is some they interview and they release, never charge them. It's not like they're walking around they have police across their chest. So it's not like there's that. Off federal property, they're not supposed to apprehend anybody. So they can, constitutionally, probably get away with defending the federal courthouse. People are pissed. People are angry. People are upset. But that's not what this is this is about. These are petulant children who are pissed and angry, who want something that is absolutely this bizarre, weird utopia. Remember the CHOP. The CHOP was going to be this amazing utopia. What's the first thing they do? They put up border walls. Then what did they do? Well, they decided you need to have a hierarchy. We're going to have people run things. There's going to be their own police force, which didn't do anything. This utopia that they dream of, it doesn't exist. And the reason they're pissed is because they don't want a defunding of the police. They want them abolished, which is nuts. Ted Cruz.
This is a really tough time for our country right now. We're seeing riots across the country. We're seeing violence and police cars being firebombed, police officers being murdered, and violent mobs within our cities. But even worse, in the face of that, we're also seeing Democratic politicians, Democratic mayors, Democratic governors, who've somehow made the decision it's in their political best interest to allow the mob to carry out their violence.
Yeah, last night, Ted Wheeler, who is the mayor of Portland, he goes out, right? He goes out there and who's been telling Trump, get your people away from here. He's also the one who said there will never be a CHOP here. And there isn't, but there kind of is. Because you've allowed, this stuff to go on 56 nights and it's growing on a nightly basis. And you've allowed them to destroy things, and we're not talking about the average protester who goes down there. There's zero problem with that. You should. Use your voice. Protest. But as left as he is, they can't stand him and they want him gone. He got booed and jeered and all of that stuff. There's some issues here. But my big issue is the feds. Get out of there. Right? You want to protect the courthouse. Is that important to you? Fine. Is there some of this that makes me feel like it's super political? Absolutely, on both sides. On both sides. Because I think if this was going on and Obama sent some people in there, that the left would be a little bit more lenient in the way that they're like, oh, you shouldn't. And if this was a city that was right-leaning and Obama sent in there, the right would freak out because that's what we do.
And they're refusing to protect their own citizens. They're allowing these lawless, autonomous zones to exist within their boundaries. That has never happened in modern time.
Ted Cruz right there. It's never happened in modern times. But it's happening now. I still say, let them deal with it. People get mad at me. People on the right are totally mad at me. It's great. Somebody said yesterday, I can't listen to you anymore. And I said, well, why can't you listen to me? I mean, I don't, just curious. Because of your take on this, we should go down and crush these, insurgents. And I'm just like, that's a state's issue. That's a city issue. Why do you want to fix a problem that they created? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from you. Garrett Cole.
My focus isn't on the crowd as much as I love the fans, and we all love performing for the fans. Our focus is to take care of the baseball and play a clean game. And so, and there's been so many new things this year. So I'm just going to take it for what it is, and I guess compare it to no baseball whatsoever. So I'm just excited.
He's the starting pitcher for the Yankees. Got a huge contract this year with the Yankees. Going to be opening day pitcher tonight because baseball opens up in earnest. Dodgers versus San Francisco's the late game. Washington Nationals world champions will be at home to nobody to take on the Yankees. Fauci throws out the first ball. I don't really know what it's going to look like when a real game goes on, but so far it's just awkward. I said yesterday, it's like it's watching people play in a mausoleum or a museum. It's just quiet, tiptoey. There's not that buzz, and I don't know if they're going to pipe it in on the TV, but I feel like there needs to be something. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. HelloFresh, what is it? Delivered straight to your door. It's meals, not just any kind of meals, the best kind of meals. 22 chef-curated recipes each week. So you get a low-calorie if you want it. You can vegetarian if you want it. Just regular family-friendly options. You got Kraft Burger, Surf and Turf. I mean, you name it. Whatever it is you're looking for meal-wise, it comes straight to you. Within 20 minutes, away you go. Sitting down to eat. They give you all of the ingredients. It's packed in a bag. So you got this bag full of ingredients. You've got like fresh vegetables and all the stuff you need. You've got the meat. You just put the puzzle piece together and feed yourself. That easy. It takes out the headache of trying to figure out a meal prep and plan. And on top of that, you're going to save. So if you compare this to shopping at a store, 40% savings. On top of that, it's contact free. It's a win-win. You can add extra meals, skip a week, change your delivery days. HelloFresh is flexible to fit your lifestyle. The #1 meal kit in America. Go to HelloFresh.com. When you do that, use the promo code Benson. Automatically $80 off your first box and free shipping. That's promo code Benson at HelloFresh.com to save $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. HelloFresh.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a peek and find out what's trending in the world of the interwebs. What are people searching for? Tesla yesterday was huge. Why? Because they beat the earnings. I think it's 4 quarters in a row. The Alaskan earthquake, 7.8. Huge. Chicago activists worried as feds head their way. That was big. Mookie Betts, baseball player. Dodgers play tonight. Was traded from Boston to Los Angeles. Signed a $365 million contract. Not bad money if you can get it. QAnon, still trending. People are going, what the hell's QAnon? No idea. No idea. Whatever it is, it seems to be cool. Charles Evers, civil rights figure, passed away. Trending. Taylor Swift dropping her album tonight, or dropped it. Will drop. I don't know if it last night or tonight. I'm not quite sure. I think it's tonight at midnight. Nobody even knew she did it. Oh my God, she's amazing. Wonder what Kanye will say about that. Oh, Chad. Another 1.4 on the old Twitter. Million people joining the unemployment ranks. Uh-oh. Bill and Ted 3 is trending. The Sierra Club is trending. Why? John Muir. Progressive, environmentalist, racist. Got to cancel him. Got to cancel him for sure. And One Direction. 10 years ago, they debuted. And now we've got One Direction. Which way is that direction? That direction. And then it's that direction. No matter which way it is, it's still only one direction. See what I did there? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me and text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Got a good story a little bit about deep fakes that is just mind-boggling. We're also going to talk a little bit about why some people bitch, whine, and moan about uber progressive ideas and how we need to implement them, yet they have been implemented in some places, and guess what? It's not working. What? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Once there is a viable vaccine, how is it decided who gets it first?
And so it's going to come out gradually. We'll see 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, 50 million doses released. So the at-risk group is a group that we really have to reach out first to people working in nursing homes, residents in nursing homes, first responders, healthcare workers. There are big outbreaks in meat plants, food handling, prisons. So those are populations that we know are at extreme risk.
Yeah. Who gets it first? Who's going to take it? There's an interesting few articles that have come out in the last 2 weeks about what they're not telling you about the side effects. And some of the side effects, well, they're a little tough. They are. I mean, they're kick your butt. It's very interesting. Wired's got a really good article that talks about the fact that depending on which one you're looking at, both of them have some real issues with headaches, knock you on your butt, keep you to the point where that was your day. And that they keep saying, you got to ask some serious questions about this. We want this to work so bad, but we don't want to be blinded in our want to get something that we overlook this. So there are some serious issues. Some people said, hey, you know what? I had headaches and I was sick really bad. But it also shows that it does seem to work. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what we want, right? Rather get a side effect for a day or two where you have a fever of 100 degrees and a headache than you getting potentially something that could not only kill you, albeit maybe very small, but also could spread to somebody else. But they do need to ask some serious questions about this. And I don't think, like a lot of people, I don't think we ask the questions we really should be asking when it comes to things. More from Dr. Arthur Kaplan.
Who decides?
National Academy of Medicine. Most people have not heard of that, a group of esteemed scientists. I think what we need is a national commission made up of interest groups. People can look at it and say, there's someone from a stakeholder there, nurses, teachers, people from minority communities. We need a credible body because vaccine resistance, doubts and fears about any new vaccine, they're not trivial.
No. There's a lot of people out there who say, and I've talked to several doctors. I'm close to a doctor that's out here. We're friends, and he said, I wouldn't get it the first year. I have friends who are pilots, and they'll say, I never want to fly a plane the first year or two. I want to let it do its own thing. So that's interesting.
Weirdly, we argue at one end who's going first, and then on the other hand, there's going to be, I think, a significant number of people, if they don't trust who's making the decisions, who are going to say, you go first, I'll wait a few months and see how it works out.
The issue of the anti-vax community, which is loud and organized, maybe disproportionately loud and organized.
We need to hear warp speed to a safe vaccine. The word safety had better be there. No shortcuts on evidence, no rushing the vaccine through, absolutely unacceptable.
I joke. Look, I never call them anti-vaxxers. I mean, whatever you want to call them. People who are just, I mean, they don't want to take vaccines, and I'm all for vaccines. Safe, tried, and true. We're rolling through this thing at 100 miles an hour because we want this. We're looking at the crumbling of our economy, the unrest we're seeing in this country. We're already at each other's throats. Now you throw this in, where we're starting to lock ourselves down, and we're seeing cases rise up, and we want light at the end of the tunnel. It's a bizarre situation. Somebody asked me, will you take it? I said, you know what? I've got no problem taking it because I understand what the risks are. And I'd be willing to talk about the risk, and I'd be willing to also talk about if I got really sick, hey, this is what happened to me. It's not going to happen to everybody. But I understand why there's worry out there. And there's other reasons to worry, too, because, Bill Gates and stuff.
Do you want a vaccine so that you can implant microchips into people?
No, there's no connection between any of these vaccines and any tracking type thing at all. I don't know where that came from.
And yet there was a poll by YouGov and Yahoo that shows 44% of Republicans, 19% of Democrats, and 24% of independents think that you want to do that.
How insane is that? The fact that Norah O'Donnell had to ask that conspiracy to Bill Gates, do you want to vaccinate people so you can, control them? I don't know how stuff gets. You got to really reach for a lot of things, but that's pretty awesome.
How did this conspiracy start?
Some of these are deeply ironic, our foundation is about reducing death and, bringing equity to health. And yet the idea that, we get accused of creating chips or the virus, I think we just need to get the truth out there. We need to explain our values and why we're willing to put billions to accelerate the progress. It's a little unclear to me, but, I hope it'll die down as people get the facts.
No, you're rich, you're powerful. You help people. People feel uncomfortable with it. There's got to be a motive to the way that you help people. I don't. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theory cat. That's never been my thing. I find it weird that people go off on some of these tangents to the point where it's there are things that you can look at, right, and go, I find that odd. Perfect example of anything in the newest world of conspiracy is the Jeffrey Epstein thing was odd. Sorry. You don't hang out with that many high-profile people. Don't think that they can't get to you in some way, shape, or form. I did find that weird. The Ghislaine Maxwell, his I guess you would call her his procurer of young ladies. That's there. You can look at that. The people that died. You got the judge that was appointed to a case, and then 24 hours later, her son's killed, her husband's shot. It's all weird, right? Some of that stuff you can look at. You're talking about high-profile people like the prince, former presidents, things of that nature. I could see some nefariousness there. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. It wouldn't be. But stuff like, oh yeah, they want to control you and things, that's where I'm just like, I can't buy into that. Sorry. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me and text the program as well. There's going to be an election, no matter what anybody says. There will be one. It's coming up in November 3rd to be exact. Biden's out there doing what Biden does.
No sitting president has ever done this. Never, never, never. No Republican president has done this. No Democratic president. We have racists, and they've existed. They've tried to get elected president. He's the first one that has.
It's coming hard. Racism. He's Biden hiding. It's kind of interesting. He's doing his weird kind of. He comes out once in a while, like Puxatawny Phil, and he'll do a couple things, and then he goes back in, and then he comes back out again and does a little bit. And I said it yesterday, offense, much easier to play than defense. And so it's easy because you're in the catbird seat as far as you can sit there and smile and from your 20,000 feet view, and you can say, I would have done this or I would have done that. I can do this and I could do that. When you're not in the midst of it all, so much easier to do. Absolutely. I saw today, though, they were debating on the cognitive abilities of Trump. And we can debate a lot of things. I don't like the way he acts at times. I don't like the language he uses in certain situations when he's tweeting and doing certain things. I think he's sometimes honest to a fault in the world of politics where it's tough to because we don't want people to you just say the first thing on your mind. And for some people, they love that about him. But I also think what it does is it creates more chaos than there needs to be. But I also think he thrives in it. But the cognitive thing, if you're going to bring that up, and the people on the left are bringing that up, you need to slow your roll when you've got the Biden.
The last questions are much more difficult, like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah, person, woman, man, camera, TV. Okay, now he's asking you other questions. And then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go person, woman, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Trump talking about his cognitive test. But it's great to watch the way that they look. Trump, a lot of faults. He's done some good stuff. Not going to say he hasn't. A lot of faults. A lot of good. Flawed. Very much American in that sense. Biden, nobody really hates Biden. But if you're honest with yourself, you can't tell me that there isn't some times where you look at him and you think, he's a little too confused for, I just had a brain fart moment. Just a smidge. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Speaking of conspiracies and wackiness, we're going to talk about something that is very interesting and it's also terrifying, especially as we head into not just this election, but many, many elections heading forward. Rough greens. So I've got my dog Doodle. You guys know that, right? My little dog Doodle. So I have all my lizards. I have all that stuff, but I have my dog Doodle. And my dog Doodle had some issues. And his issues were his bad hips. Little Doodle had bad hips. Thought I was going to have to put him down. Rescued this dog, only had him a couple of years, so we're going to have to put him down. Next thing you know, we tried rough greens. Changed everything. Changed everything in little Doodle's life. He's happier. He's bouncier. This is not dog food. It is a supplement that goes on top of your dog's food. That stuff is, no matter how good you think the food is, it's meant to be on a shelf. So that means it's meant to be there for a while. So Rough Greens brings your dog's food to life with vitamins, digestive enzymes, powerful strains of probiotics, antioxidants, omega-3, 6, and 9, and it's awesome. Within about 10 days, it was a new Doodle. And here we are months into this, and he's happier and bouncier than he's ever been, and he jumps on stuff that I've never seen him jump on. $14.95 for a 2-week jumpstart. It's 14-day jumpstart. Best thing you're ever going to do for your furry friend. Rough Greens can reduce or completely eliminate your dog's symptoms. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MY-DOG-88, 833-MY-DOG-88, or ruffgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
It took a really long time to get here, and there were some moments, honestly, I didn't think it was going to happen, both because of the labor stuff. There were moments I didn't think it was going to happen because of the coronavirus, and the season is still in peril. We have a team that does not have a home right now, and baseball's starting today. We might have expanded playoffs in 2020, and baseball is starting today, and that is still undecided. So this is just such a whirlwind of a year right now, and it hasn't actually started yet.
Yeah, they're talking about expanding the playoffs, I think, to 16 teams this baseball season. So who knows what's going to happen, but baseball kicks off tonight. Dr. Fauci throwing out the first pitch. What do you think, Producer Phil? Does he skip it? Does he make it there?
Yeah, he'll make it there.
Yeah, he's got to. 79, but you got to make it there, man. You can't bounce it. You can't bounce it. We're going to be watching you. So, deep fakes, if you don't know what they are coming. Right now, they're not that good, but they're getting better. MIT put together, it took them a while to do it, a deep fake on the moon landing. Not that we didn't land on the moon, but that we landed on the moon and that there was no hope to get them back. And if you watch it, oh my God. Now, Nixon, look, everybody knows that there was another speech. that was prepared in the event of something tragic happen. But they've put together a deep fake that is incredible, and you would swear it's real.
Here from CBS News Apollo headquarters at Kennedy Space Center, correspondent Walter Cronkite.
Good morning. If all goes well, Apollo 11 astronauts, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins are to lift off from pad 39A out there on the voyage man always has dreamed about. Next stop for them, the moon.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
So that's how it went. But then, of course, everything went as planned. We got home. But what if we didn't? So MIT put this together, and this is just amazing.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin know that there is no hope for their recovery, but they also know that there is hope for mankind in their sacrifice.
When you watch it, you're like, that's so real, it's scary.
They will be mourned by their nation. They will be mourned by the people of the world. They will be mourned by a Mother Earth that dared send 2 of her sons into the unknown. In their exploration, they stirred the people of the world to feel as one. In their sacrifice, they bind more tightly the brotherhood of man. For every human being who looks up at the moon in the nights to come will know that there is some corner of another world that is forever mankind.
Why does it matter? Because think about election time, when we can now have deep fakes. We already live in a world where we take the first thing that comes as the truth and gospel, and nobody does any research on anything. So when you're in a position to have deep fakes easily made, the things that you're going to be able to get presidents, presidential candidates, mayors, senators, governors, congressmen and women, you name it, to say and do, celebrities, athletes, that will put them in a position to have to come out and defend something they never said, even though they're saying it, even though it's not them. That's scary. And it's going to get scarier. It's tough now to get it right, but it's getting easy. And much like everything else with technology, it is going to be done quick and fast. Maybe not for this election, but for the foreseeable future, deep fakes are real and they're going to be here to stay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. If only we could just deep fake the baseball season. Be solid. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
What do we do? Coronavirus still doing coronavirus-y things. It's also doing something else that people are feeling in a much different way, and that is unemployment.
While jobless claims have been historically high, they had actually been trending down until now. Last week, another 1.4 million Americans filed new claims for unemployment benefits. That is an increase from the prior week, and it snaps a streak of 15 consecutive weeks of declines. It has been 18 straight weeks that jobless claims have been above 1 million.
Got more closings, and these closings are important because of where they are. California, don't know if you guys are aware of this. A lot of people live there. Most populous state. Texas, a lot of people live there. Florida, a lot of people live there. When you're starting to have closings and businesses shutter, you're going to find what? More issues when it comes to unemployment. It's a little bit of a lagging indicator. I think over the next couple of weeks, you're going to start to see what the damage could look like. The question is, what is Congress going to do? So you've got nasty Pelosi. Let's see what I said. Oh, Chad! Ah, man, you called her Nasty Pelosi? Nancy. Sorry, Nancy. You know why I said that? Because my aunt, who's like my bestie in the world, she pretty much raised me in so many ways. She had a friend, and her friend, who's much nicer now, but when we were younger, everybody used to call her Nasty Nancy because she was just mean to everybody. Kind of like Pelosi. Oh, Chad. So what are they going to do? How are they going to get something sorted out? Is there something real that's coming? What's this battle look like? Because it's going to be a pissing contest between the Senate Republicans and the Democrats in the House. Both sides want 100% of something. Who blinks first? When this shouldn't be about blinking. This should be about, like, how do we get people back in a financial situation that at least for the next couple months where we can not have to print so much stuff that we run the risk of super insane inflation and the lunacy of the debt that we have, and at the same time give them enough of a running start that we can see something on the horizon when it comes to a vaccine, a therapeutic, or that this thing just runs its course.
While the current $600 per month expanded unemployment benefit is set to expire and won't be renewed, Mnuchin said in its place,
We're looking at something that looks like a 70% wage replacement, and we're working on the mechanics of that.
Also excluded, a payroll tax cut favored by President Trump, criticized by both Democrats and Republicans, with the focus shifting instead to a second round of direct payments to Americans.
I think you can get a direct payment to Americans. I don't know what that looks like. Is it going to be a full payment like it was last time, as far as, hey, we're going to get you $1,200 if you're here, $1,000 if you're here? Are they going to do it for how many kids you have as well? I do like the fact that it's talking about some sort of 70% paycheck makeup. But how long does that go for? I also think there needs to be a deadline on these things and start to force states to pick up some of the responsibility in these situations. So what does that look like? I don't know. But they're going to do their best, Steve Mnuchin.
If you were making $300, you're not going to get $600 this time. And that's fair. People understand that. My idea? Another check? Like you did before, payment, this is it. And we're going to extend the benefits, but instead of $600, it's $300, and we're going to move on with our lives. And we're going to also put some of the burden now on the states to start figuring out how you can get these numbers down and get these things under control. It's got to be. It is, because there is my sister is the perfect example. So my little sister, Hunter, God bless her, I love her. So, she's just, every kid needs to have a little bit of what she's got and her belief in herself, and not as much narcissism would be the perfect way to describe her. But I love Hunter. She's bummed. She's like, man, if this unemployment goes away, it sucks. I'm going to have to get a job. Because she had a job. And she goes, but it's not going to pay anywhere near as what it was paying. I'm like, I know, Hunter. You're making like $1,100 a week or whatever you're making. It's nuts. It's crazy. It is. It's lunacy. And that's in California. She's young. I get it. But other parts of the country where maybe $15 an hour, and all of a sudden now you're making $20 an hour to stay home, that is a disincentive to try to get back. Even when things partially reopened, you heard there were businesses out there like, we can't find people to work. So we don't want a disincentive. We got to make sure it's safe to go back to work. But at the end of the day, I've always said the virus is going to be the one that takes us where we're going to go. And the greatest
weapon we have to get our economy going isn't the politicians, isn't Trump and his, hey, you know what, I'm going to give you the greatest economy of all time, and this is the greatest thing that we're going to have. If this thing is endemic and not pandemic, means it's sticking around, is the scientists coming up, along with the doctors in the medical community, with something that is a true therapeutic and or a vaccine that is effective. Because once you get to the point where you know that through a vaccine and treatments that this thing is no more dangerous than the flu, all bets are off and we get back to our life. And it is going to take a while to build what we had. That is not going to be instantaneous. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Portland, once again, having a party.
Protests here in Portland now in their 56th straight night, and the crowd is only growing. We've been here a few nights in a row now. This is the biggest crowd that we have ever seen. At about 12:30, it was declared a riot by authorities, and they asked protesters to clear the area. But this was after hours of protesters lighting fireworks inside the barricade surrounding the federal courthouse. We saw a few people actually taken into the federal courthouse by authorities.
So, the feds. People keep bugging me. Chad, why don't you like the feds there? It's not that I don't like the feds there. They have a right to protect the federal part of the courthouse and certain areas, but they shouldn't be taking people off the streets when it's a street. You're not on federal property. That's something constitutionally. You're just snatching people up. People are getting upset, say, well, they're not identifying themselves. Well, they're wearing, they've got the things I have seen. They've got defined markings that say police. They put you in a van in some cases, and well, they're not reading your Miranda. Very few people have been charged. Some are being charged, some are just being questioned and then released. The reason I don't want them there is, Portland, you've done this to yourself. I don't really care what happens to Portland at this point. I love Portland. But Anthony, I've talked about this on numerous occasions. A few years ago, producer Anthony, my beloved producer, my ride or die, went to Portland on a little vacation. Came back, and all he could talk about was the protests, the ne'er-do-wells, the drugs, the kids, the lunacy, and it's just like a place. It's like, I'll never go back there again. Portland's done this to themselves, like a lot of these cities have. You've allowed and placated so many activists and special interest people that you've turned the city into something that frustrates the hell out of a lot of people in Portland. And you know what? Going in there and fixing a situation, don't. Chicago's different. You know, Trump wants to put people in Chicago, and he is. He is. He's going to put some people in Chicago because he's got stuff going down.
Every American, no matter their income, their race, or their zip code, should be able to walk their city streets free from violence and free from fear. For this reason, today, I am announcing that the Department of Justice will immediately surge federal law enforcement to the city of Chicago. The FBI, ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, and Homeland Security will together be sending hundreds of skilled law enforcement officers to Chicago to help drive down violent crime.
Now, violent crime. I always like to preface this. There are areas in Chicago that you don't want to go to. Right? There are areas of Chicago that you want to stay away from. The best thing that you can do is not to go to some of these areas. That's the reality. By and large, Chicago is an
every American, no matter their income,
is extremely safe. By and large, they're extremely safe. One of the safest cities in the world. But you hear about all these shootings, you hear about all this stuff because they have a bad gang problem that runs certain parts of these areas, that terrorize these areas. And the police in a lot of these Democrat-run cities have had their hands tied on more than a few occasions. And because of that, things are getting out of control. You can't deny that Seattle isn't a mess. Look at the crime rates. Portland, look at the crime rates. New York right now, skyrocketing. Police feel like they have their hands tied. And this is a gang issue. This isn't a protest about something else. These have the shooting that are going on. Those aren't protests. Those are gangs. Much different than what you see going on in places like Portland. But I say you've made this bed. Let them lie in it. This is your issue. You want to continue to put people in like Democrats who have run some of these cities into the ground? And there's a difference between a Democrat and an uber loony progressive. There is. But why should the feds and everybody else have to bail them out? This is where you finally say, if this is what you want, this is what you want your city to be, that's on you. That's on you. As for me, I'm going to let them do their thing. Either they're going to go, you know what, I've had enough of this. We may put a Democrat in there, but it ain't going to be that kind of Democrat. Or we may put a Republican in there and an independent. Or what we're not going to do is what we're doing now. Because that's how the change really gets affected, is by putting people in place that you think are going to do a job that is a little bit more in line with reality and not insanity. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Gold yesterday, for those of you not keeping score. How many of you are keeping score? Gold, all-time high. All-time high. Valor Gold Group is amazing. I'll tell you guys this right now. You can go to valorgoldgroup.com/Chad. Check it out for yourself. 50 years of experience. You've got a situation here where you're seeing gold continue to rise. Gold's never going to be worth nothing. So why not diversify, give yourself some protection to the downside and some upside opportunity? And that's what Valor wants to show you how to do. If you to put the same amount of money in gold and silver as you did into the stock market 20 years ago, guess where you'd be? Well, you'd be 300% to the good when it comes to return on your investment. And that's really what it's all about. They got 50 years of experience. Call them 800-202-6936. Gold and silver qualify for your IRA. Not only is it a great way to protect from stock market losses, it's also an immediate source of money when you need it. You're going to get a #1 exclusive copy on how to protect your wealth with confidence. Call Valor today, 800-202-6936, or visit valorgoldgroup.com/Chad, VALOR, goldgroup.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
One of Arizona's largest labs has a backlog of tens of thousands of tests, and some people are now waiting almost 2 weeks to get their results. Stephanie Parra has been waiting 11 days.
I don't understand how we're expected to keep life moving forward if we can't get the systems in place to contain the spread of this virus.
The lab says it's working to get new equipment online. Next door in California, Los Angeles is doing about 18,000 tests per day with results the next day.
Yeah, it's a joke out here. It is a joke. And this is here's some of the stuff. They've got these labs where they've got 60,000, all this backlog. But here, they get ready for this one. Some of these places you go, most of them. So let's say you go on a Friday. They'll tell you it is going to be 3 to 5 days before you get your result back. You're like, what? But hold on. So you went on a Friday. That day doesn't count. Saturday, Sunday. Those days don't count either. Your first day that counts for the countdown to your results is that Monday. People are put off by going, why, if you feel you've been exposed, you might as well just stay home. If you feel sick, you might as well just stay home. Getting a test means virtually nothing if you can't get the results back in a timely manner. And at that point, too, here's the other thing. Who cares? You're just a statistic at that point. Because there's no therapeutics. There is nothing that their doctors are going to be able to do for you at this moment in time, except to tell you to stay at home, take it easy. That's it. I mean, tell me what they're doing that's different. The treatments inside of the hospitals have improved, but for somebody who's got it, it's, and I've had a couple friends who've gotten it, and the doctors just say, stay at home, just relax, drink some fluids, get some rest. Not a lot we can do for you. Because there is no, I can't write you a prescription. There's no prescription for it. There is no, so what do you do? It's frustrating as hell. It is. It's a joke. And these, by the way, are the people that are going to be doling out the vaccines. So be prepared for that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program as well. Love hearing from you. Oh, my Lord. Chaos and craziness, kids. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Why are we engaged in such violence? Because there are too many damn guns on our streets. And why is that so? Because the Republican leadership for way too long, including this president, refuses to even have a conversation about common sense gun reform.
Lori Lightfoot, she's the mayor of Chicago. She's a mess. Here's the deal, Lori. What gun reform is going to stop people who want to get guns from getting guns? Tell me that. Please enlighten all of us, legal gun owners. Enlighten all of us in the reform that's going to be magical. Tell me how a city, and in particular a certain area in Chicago that is mostly minority-based, people of color, that has been run by Democrats since the dawn of time in Illinois. How is that a Republican's problem? Republicans got problems all day. I'm not going to say that. I'm asking you how that plays out. Do you think if Republicans said, hey, I mean, I think so many people have to think if we just did this one more thing, if we just did that one more thing, and you're never addressing what you're trying to do is stop somebody from getting something because they think they need to, because they're desperate, without giving them something, which is what they need. What are you doing to really transform the city? The politics that affects you the most is the politics in front of you, at home, local. All the other stuff is reality television. All of the other stuff is reality TV. At the end of the day, what happens in your city, your city council, your mayors, your state senators, your governor, will have more of an impact in your life than the other stuff. So I look at you and say, Lori Lightfoot, what have you done? What has the Democrats done other than placate and continue to be, well, whatever it is that you are, in taking advantage of people to get their vote and in return do nothing? Republicans, you failed the black community by not even trying at this point. So I didn't want to hear you. So sit down. But you want to take away or prohibit them from getting something that they're going to do all they can to get, and it's not going to be that hard. And even if you did take it away, you're not giving them something in return that's going to figure out a way to help them move forward and make their life better? How about giving them choice for schools so they don't have to go to their crappy ass schools that they go to, that they're stuck in? How about that? How about putting more police and allowing them to do their jobs in places so crime goes down, so businesses say, hey, let's start investing in these communities? How about things like that? Little things. You can blame Trump and the Republicans all you want on gun reform, and he's a bad guy, and he's bringing in the Gestapo. It's not the way the Gestapo worked. The Gestapo didn't arrest you, take you somewhere, and then release you without charges. That's not the way it worked. And by the way, for those of you who don't keep score in the way that, they talk about he's using the Gestapo and he's doing all these kind of things, and it's very, I believe it was Lenin who said, executing the guilty doesn't do anything. Killing the innocent does. It gets people's attention. Right? So when you're talking about him and the Gestapo and coming in and putting the jackboots on the ground and doing all these kind of things, settle it down. Stop being so overly dramatic. What are you doing in your community? What are you doing to help them for real? And not just empty promises that do nothing. 60 plus years of Democratic rule across many of these big cities, and we're still talking about the same thing. And over those last 60 years, we have devastated the inner cities by doing what? Fatherless homes, plenty of them. Crappy education system with zero choice. A lot of things. Keep doing what you're doing. You're going to keep getting the same results. Last time I checked, that's called insanity. Speaking of insanity, Minnesota's decided, you know what, that patrol thing with just regular folks, no.
The initial proposal was to pull $500,000 from the Minneapolis police budget to create a civilian patrol of dozens of community officers. But it wasn't clear how citizen patrols would work, who would be hired, how would they be trained, would they be armed? Following a public hearing in which many of these questions were raised, the city council dropped the proposal and instead announced plans to take $1 million from the police department to support a cure violence program. The council votes on a city budget Friday.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Wait. You mean to tell me that you guys didn't have a plan for this? The defund the police? You didn't have a plan for this? Are you kidding me? No, there's no plan for this. There's no plan for this. And Minnesota's a perfect example of things that are an absolute mess when you have crazy progressive lunacy that is one-party rule. I don't want one-party rule in any state, but as we remember, 49% of the states that we have are essentially one-party rule. Minnesota's a perfect example of what one-party rule looks like and how, for all the clamorings of progressivism,
Overnight, Minneapolis on fire.
When Minneapolis burned after police killed George Floyd, people wondered, why would this happen in Minneapolis, the city where politicians do most everything the protesters say they want?
If you wanted a poster child for the progressive movement, it would be Minneapolis.
Climate change resilience and 80% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions.
They passed that higher minimum wage.
$15
But despite all those progressive policies meant to make life more fair,
The Minneapolis income gap between whites and African Americans is the second worst in the country.
It would be the worst. Probably is now. But they had Prince, so that brought it up a bit. Chad.
Minnesota Senate candidate Jason Lewis.
When you take away the incentive for work and savings and investment, you get less of it.
When government sends checks to people who don't work, more people don't work.
There's a sign behind you that says Waverly Job Center. You have any intention of going in to get a job?
Not looking for a job.
And guarantees like a higher minimum wage and forced family leave raise the cost of workers, which means some people never get hired.
It's true. And that sucks. People always ask me, would you have a minimum wage? I said, no, I wouldn't. Or I'd have a tier minimum wage based on age. Somebody who's 16 who's had their first job, you want me to pay them $15 an hour when they're bringing me $6 an hour's worth of work? So I'm minus $9 an hour to the bad? It's not a charity, people. It's not. Not a charity. As you get older, I think you can adjust that. It's just common sense. We don't live in a common world. So what happens? Well, I don't hire that 16-year-old. And then what? That person doesn't get experience. Who wins? And
the higher taxes to pay for all the programs mean some businesses never open.
I've been touring the businesses that were burned and did not mention global warming, recycling, or the environment one single time. You know what they say? Give me low taxes and give me public order. If you don't have good schools, low taxes, and low crime, you're not going to have small businessmen and women investing their lifetime of savings to open a business.
What? Who said that? Oh, I did. If you think a place is unsafe, would you invest in it and open up something? So if you think that you are going to go open a small business, are you going to throw money at something? And we're not talking about somebody with a ton of money. We're talking about the average small business owner. What exactly and why exactly would you throw money at something that at the end of the day, you thought, this isn't a good investment? It's not. I'm going to have to spend extra money for security. I'm going to have to do a bunch of different things. It's not a smart move. So what happens? Well, I don't go into that place. I don't create jobs. I don't create tax revenue. I don't create tax revenue. We can't have moving forward for the things that the community needs.
Ilhan Omar the other day said we need to abolish capitalism.
As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit, we will perpetuate this inequality.
So we can have equal poverty for everybody.
She doesn't say she wants equal poverty. She thinks her ideas will lift everybody up.
Show us, Ilhan. Where's it worked? And everything they're proposing hasn't worked, which is why we're talking about Minneapolis. From everybody, the Democrat county attorney got the policeman charged in 4 days, the fastest ever. What does that have to do with abolishing our economic system?
It's a fair question. That's absolutely a fair question. And a lot of these people who want to get rid of things, capitalism's one of the things. They're not saying, hey, let's make this thing a little bit better. Let's figure out how we can make it more equitable. Let's see how we can grow rather than chop down. They're just saying, let's blow it up and start all over again.
Cam Gordon is a Minneapolis councilman. Time to end capitalism as we know it. Every alternative to capitalism brings stagnation and poverty.
And I think that we can be looking out for the vulnerable and the needy, and also making sure that we have an opportunity to right the wrongs of the past.
We are demanding justice, not just for Floyd, but for a corrupt system.
Because racism has never been over.
It's easy to say. It's that's the woke thing to say. So much easier to say something like that. Racism's never been over. Human beings, as long as you have them, you're never going to end bigotry. Racism's a totally different thing. We could talk about racism, and that's a power structure. And we could talk about bigotry, which is, being a bigot. We all know what that is. Are there people out there that are very bigoted towards people? Absolutely. 100%. Are there people out there that have some biases? Yes. Do we need to work on things? 100%. Nothing is perfect. And what do you try to do? You strive to get better. But blowing it up and starting over, that screams of disaster.
In the past 50 years, while progressives attack profits,
feed the rich and feed the poor.
That pursuit of profit Capitalism lifted more than 1 billion people around the world out of the misery of extreme poverty.
Community-based economics?
By community-based, he means the community will decide what everyone must be paid, what landlords may charge, even what grocery stores stock. Sure sounds like socialism to me.
When socialism fails, the apologists always say, we just didn't do it enough. We just didn't do it the right way.
Yeah. And they also say it was the people. Couldn't get the people to do the things that we needed them to do. There's always an excuse. Always an excuse. It just doesn't work. It doesn't. But they'll keep pushing it. And they'll show something that works over here. And they'll show a little something that may work over here. But they won't show the full picture. And they'll have an excuse of why things fail. Again, capitalism and the world's not perfect. If you want perfection, he was here once and he left. He's like, I don't want to be here. You're not going to get that. Doesn't mean this isn't damn good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, fui, and double fui.
Boy, it's your language. This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
Representative Yoho put his finger in my face. He called me disgusting. He called me crazy. He called me out of my mind. And he called me dangerous. And then he took a few more steps. And after I had recognized his comments as rude, he walked away and said, "I'm rude. You're calling me rude."
It's AOC. She's upset because a yo-ho said some mean things to me. I don't know what he said. He disputes that he said what she said. She came out and said this. I don't know.
All of us have had to deal with this in some form, some way, some shape, at some point in our lives.
Tell with what? Somebody being mean to you? Do people realize that men deal with that as well? I know that we're the bane of everybody's existence. The white man needs to go away and die. Go the way of the dodo bird. I get that. I understand that. But it's always funny. Do you know what it's like to have somebody yell at you? I'm like, are you being real? It's nuts. Everybody wants to have it only's ever happened to them. It's only ever happened to them. And you need to understand my experience. And at the same time, you will never understand my experience. So, it's interesting. I don't know what they said to each other. What I do know is they probably will not be exchanging any kind of Christmas or, what do they call it, winter time? Is that what it is now? Because you can't call it Christmas because that's just part of the bad system. So the yo-ho will not be changing his tune, I'm sure, about her, and she just loves every second of it. She probably lives for it. Just like Trump. Trump and her are so much alike in so many ways. They love drama, and they know how to play it up. They do. Their politics may be polar opposite, as we know. But they love themselves some drama. They love to be center of the tension. And anything that's dramatic, well, they're going to soak it up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You text the program as well. What's going to happen in Portland tonight? Another 1.4 million people unemployed. And baseball returns, or at least starts, because it really didn't go anywhere, right? We were in the middle of spring training when they shut everything down. Tonight, you got the Dodgers and the Giants in the late game, and the early game will be the world champion Washington Nationals taking on the New York Yankees. Fauci throws out the first ball. If he makes a strike, it means that we're going to find a vaccine. If he bounces the ball, we're in for another 2 years of this. Have a wonderful day. I see you Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.